Today we're going to be featuring a team that was built by a world champion, but it does not come across that way at first glance. Let me tell you though, this is a very powerful team built around Wigglytuff of all Pokemon. You heard me right, it is built around Wigglytuff. And hopefully you guys enjoy and you like to see these type of gimmicky mons that end up doing really well. And if you enjoy that type of content, that's for you. Leave a like and subscribe. I upload a ton of these types of videos where we showcase mons that you might not see anywhere else. And with that said, we're going to feature today a team built around competitive choice specs Wigglytuff, and it is a really damning offensive threat. There are not a lot of good fairies in this format, and there really aren't any that actually can function in Trick Room, in my opinion, in this format. I guess the best would be Sylveon, but even Sylveon has a bit of quirks that hinder it a lot, such as its base 60 speed. The next best fairies are probably Primarina, which also has a 60 speed issue, and then Azumarill, which is fairly weak to Intimidators, as well as options like Rillaboom that can revenge it. Wigglytuff doesn't have any of those issues though. It underpaces a lot of the common Pokemon that would be functional in Trick Room, and with the choice specs, you can actually make this thing to a really terrifying threat. For our first Pokemon of the team though, we do have a nice way around Priority, because Priority would be a big way to stop these slow enough Trick Room threats, being Serena. Now with Queenly Majesty, this is a really decent way to stop incoming Priority, similar to how Farigiraf would, but this team already has a different like normal type, which I'll get into in a bit, so I don't really want to throw Farigiraf on here as well. It doesn't really make sense. With Queenly Majesty though, we'd still get that same effect that Armtail would provide, and Power Whip provides a really nice way around a lot of these other ground types and water types that might take advantage of my team, specifically my next Pokemon. Meanwhile, Triple Axle is a great way around a lot of different Pokemon in the tier, specifically like the grasses, things like Rage Powder and Mungus, and it's just a really good coverage option on this overall. And in tandem with High Jump Kick, we really do just hit a majority of viable picks in the format. We're just going to be max offense here, leaning more into a very slow speed status, but then we could still be functional in Trick Room because Serena's a relatively fast Pokemon. And with the Wide Lens though, we do get a nice accuracy boost for both Triple Axle, Power Whip, and High Jump Kick, meaning that this should be a decent powerhouse overall. And that Terra Ice will especially help lean into that damage from Triple Axle. Moving on, we do have a Torkoal, and this is just going to be a standard Charcoal Torkoal with a Terra Fire typing to lean into that eruption damage. In tandem with Serena, this is a very powerful duo, as options like Rillaboom and Raging Bolt that could have maybe gotten off some good priority against it will no longer be able to do so, and instead we'll just have to take a Triple Axle plus Eruption combo, or in Raging Bolt's case, Earth Power if it is pre-Terra. This is a really good option overall, and it does partner really well with our next Pokemon in case we need a fast mode, being Walking Wake. This Walking Wake actually forgoes a Fire Stab in favor of Terra Blast Steel, as it's designed to mostly be a decent way around Pokemon like Fluttermane that might put up some decent pressure. It's a really good Fairy Killer overall though with that Terra Steel typing, and it gains us a nice resistance to Fairies, which again, we don't really have a great one since Torkoal only helps to benefit them. And with Hydro Steam and Draco Meteor, we get a nice dual stab combination that in tandem with our booster speed, this turns into a very terrifying fast mode when Trick Room runs out. So it gives us a nice option so we don't just auto lose to Pokemon like Fluttermane in that endgame. Moving on though, we do have our second normal type being Wyrdeer. Now I will say right off the bat, Showdown's new feature actually is already coming in clutch. I did mention that for a different EV spread, you should actually probably be running 252 HP, 76 defense, and 164 with a sassy nature. However, just like with always, I'm always going to show the spreads that we did end up using. This was a rental code, so because of that, this is the team that we have, so I don't want to just make a different spread when that's not what we used in the video, and it's not what you would get if you use the rental code. So if you're trying this on Showdown, I would recommend just going with that pro tip EV spread calculator thing, as it is really helpful, and I think you can get a little bit more EVs out of this. It looks like you save 16 actually going with that, but even still, it doesn't really matter. This thing is not really an offensive piece despite having Psychic. It's more just here so it's not completely taunt and fodder. The main things you're going to be using this for are setting Trick Room and then going for Skill Swap, as a Skill Swap will be a great way to pop our Intimidate with Wigglytuff. So then you can trigger your competitive, get your +2, and just start blowing through teams since Wigglytuff will underpace most Pokemon. However, this Wyrdeer is specifically prepped to be underpacing the Wigglytuff, so then you can activate that Skill Swap Intimidate before Wigglytuff will get an attack off, making it into a very terrifying threat overall. Up next, we're going to be going with our Choice Specs Terra Fairy Wigglytuff. I'm not too sure what the spread in particular does, but I know that it hits really hard, and this thing is an absolute monster at +2. It is very difficult to take a hit from this, especially with the Choice Specs Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam. You have Terra Blast as a nice single target option, as Wigglytuff does not get Moonblast. It's a pretty fatal flaw of this Pokemon, but Terra Fairy is still a really good typing on this nonetheless. It helps boost up your Dazzling Gleam damage, gives you a good single target Terra Blast. It gets rid of your neutrality to fighting, which is huge, and instead just allows you to actually be a fighting resist. That's really helpful for Pokemon like Iron Hands or Shifu. No, Iron Hands isn't the most common right now, but especially with the defensive Terra, it could pose some issues in Trick Room, though this will help a lot with that. Flamethrower and Hyper Voice are just some nice options. Hyper Voice in particular is really good. It's just a nice catch-all neutral option, and Flamethrower is great for the steals that would middle ground check both of those stabs. And this overall proves to be a good threat. I don't know what the bulk is for. Again, not my team. I don't really know what the spreads do, so Unfortunately, I do not know what the bulk is for. It's a hard-hitting Pokemon, and investing HP would be kind of a waste when this thing is such low defenses and such a high HP stat. Finally, though, we do have a Smeargle, and Smeargle is going to be a great way to tie this whole team together. It's kind of the reason this team can function in the first place. With Jetpack and Moody, we can self-proc our Jetpack at the end of the turn guaranteed. So we can follow me into Smeargle or go for a Fake Out or Spore or Wide Guard even if we need to click that. Whatever the support move we need to click for that first turn is, we can guarantee then get Wyrdeer up to get a Trick Room. Whether I need to Spore through 2 slower Pokemon, whether I need to Fake Out something really fast, whether I need to go for Wide Guard against something like a Fluttermane and Chi lead, or if I go for Follow Me against a single target Pokemon like a Torn Shifu lead, for example. This is a guaranteed way to get out of that Trick Room, and it's a really nice way to just kind of get past anyone who doesn't know what this team does. The Terra Ghost helps a lot as a nice pressure for Fake Out in case I don't need Terra on Wigglytuff, and it overall proves to be a very, very terrifying lead next to Wyrdeer, because then we can just guarantee get Wyrdeer in next to Wigglytuff without Wigglytuff taking damage, and it's kind of over at that point. With that said though, here's the rental code on screen in case you want to try it yourselves, and the paste will be in the description, and let's get started with today's battle. Alright, we're here today with a team. This is a team. It's actually a pretty cool team. Not only did I see people recently covering this on YouTube, but I've actually had this team in my backlog for a while. As I probably mentioned in the intro, if I did one, I have not recorded in a while. So this is our first team back. We're using Wigglytuff. This should be a pretty fun team. I got this one off of my good pal Faye, who found it on Twitter, and it is an interesting team. I love mechanically how it works, but my goodness, is it difficult to pop. We're gonna make it work though. We're gonna make it work. I have total faith that they would not send me a team that would do bad. We're gonna lead off with Wyrdeer and Smeargle. That's essentially how we have to activate the team. There's a very key strategy to this team. There's other ways to use it, to be fair. I might actually go with I'm trying to think. Let me look at the Wigglytuff we said again. So I do have means of breaking through most of the opponents. I'm actually gonna go with Serena then, because Serena blocking through incoming priority will actually be really decent for this team in particular, because there's so much priority on my opponent's side. So I'm gonna go with that instead. I think that should hopefully help me with winning the games. But I'll have to see how it goes. At the very least, there is definitely a lot to make work on this team. We'll just have to be careful. My opponent is gonna lead off with Incineroar and Raging Bolt. That is perfectly fine. I can make this work. So at bare minimum, we're going to go for the I'm gonna go for the Fake Out and the Trick Room on turn 1. I don't think my opponent will go for the kill instantly, though this lead is really aggressive, I will say. A Jetpack already popping is not the greatest, because the point was to not have that happen, but it's still fine. It's still very fine. What I'll do is I'm gonna go hard into Serena here, and then I'm gonna go for a Trick Room. I'm gonna try and bait incoming priority this turn with the Wigglytuff being present. And I'm going to go for the Serena, just hard into Serena. If they kill Serena, it's not the worst loss, but albeit it's not ideal either. And then I can try and skill swap afterwards to try and activate my Intimidate again, which should hopefully be decent. I can try and, yeah, I have ways to make that work. By skill swapping the Intimidate as well, I can just get my boost on Wigglytuff. And I'll have Perpetual Intimidate to go for it because they have Intimidate on their side. And I can just keep doing that until Wigglytuff's at like +6. They're going to proceed to go for Calm Mind here. It's not the best for us in the world, but it's not undoable. Thankfully, my opponent did only go for a knockoff and not like a Flare Blitz into Serena, so it's pretty decent for us. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go for a Hypnosis here into that Raging Bolt. And then I think I'm just going to go for a High Jump Kick into the Incineroar and just really punish that. Because I can still skill swap my own Intimidate if need be on my opponent anyway, so I'm not really concerned with that. But by stopping my opponent's Fake Out user and by putting my opponent's other priority user to sleep, that should hopefully help a lot with the Wigglytuff endgame. It'll be a bit difficult to pop against a team like this, but I do think we can still manage, especially if we can get some good early game pressure with our Trick Room. They're going to proceed to swap out Incineroar here. I'm curious into what. It's probably going to be like Rillaboom if I had to guess. Yeah, it's going to be Rillaboom. Okay. I figured that they'll probably try and go for like an Intimidate cycle here, which is fine. I can actually just triple Axel right into that and be perfectly okay. Hypnosis is going to miss, unfortunately. That's whatever. Raging Bolt is going to probably take out my Serena if I had to guess. Yeah, they're going to go for Dragon Pulse. Actually into Wyrdeer. That's still perfectly fine. I don't really mind. Because I can actually get off some really decent damage with the triple Axel into the Raging Bolt. and then just go for a really strong Specs Dazzling Gleam here, which will be nice. Especially with my Terra, I think I can actually really make some good work of my opponent here. And if they bring an instant here to try and weaken Serena, I'm perfectly okay with that, because that just means that I'll hit harder with my Wigglytuff. So I'm very okay here. We'll go for Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam, and then I'm going to go for the triple Axle right in a Raging Bolt. The combination of the two should punish my opponent pretty well. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to KO the Rillaboom, but I should get off enough damage where it probably kills itself at least, which is good. At least if they're going to go for Wood Hammer. If they're going to go for U-Turn, I'm not really scared of it. The Terra Fairy Gleam, though, with the Choice Specs should do some really good damage anyway. So even if I didn't pop the team as intended, I should still be fine here. And despite the Calm Mind that this Raging Bolt has up, I'm not too scared of it. Rillaboom is already almost dead, and I think with just 2 Axles, I can kill Raging Bolt. Perfect. Yep, 2 Axles killed it. That is great. I'm curious if my opponent's going to try and kill my Serena here, or if they're just going to go for Wood Hammer. I'm kind of fine either way, because Serena's still a good endgame. Yeah, I'm curious about what they'll go with. They're going to go with Wood Hammer. It looks like they're actually going into Serena, though, which is very, very fine for me, because they actually now just kind of get punished by Gleam plus High Jump Kick, which is really good for me. And Wigglytuff unironically farms. Like, this is a good Pokemon against their team, and they cannot do a lot about it. They're going to go back into Instant. That's perfect, because we're going to get a nice +2 boost on Wigglytuff, meaning that we can really punish that Incineroar, despite the fact that my Serena is definitely on the weaker end for sure. I think they're going to have to swap out Rillaboom at this point, so they can keep it around once I lose Serena, which is really unfortunate, actually. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go right into my Smeargle here, because they're not going to fake out. There's no world where they fake out against Serena. I mean, maybe we're low ladder. Oh, they just cancel anyway. Okay, that's perfect. I was going to say, because there's no world where they fake out viably into Wigglytuff here to, like, kill it. Especially when they weren't targeting Wigglytuff anyway. I cannot talk. So I could have gotten off, like, the fake out into follow me pressure and just kind of win that way. But okay, they just let me take it. We're going to get into our next match, though. We'll see you guys in game number 2. Alright, for game number 2, we're taking on what looks to be an Exeggutor Trick Room team with Iron Bundle as like some sort of fast mode with Okidogi. I'm very okay with this. Issue being is Okidogi is kind of a threat, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Thankfully, they can't immediately phase out my Smeargle, so I can get some good punish early game into my opponent. We're gonna go with, yeah, we're just gonna go with these 4. I don't really need to block priority for my opponent, thankfully, so I can Torkoal Mirror them. And my Torkoal Mirror will be really good at boosting, especially my own Exeggutor. Well, not my Exeggutor, my Wigglytuff, going for Flamethrower into Exeggutor. I could also go with Walking Wake. Walking Wake will be a decent endgame Pokemon for us. The issue being is it's really bad into them for the early game. The only thing I think that will be kind of a threat is Umbreon, but thankfully, though, my Wigglytuff is actually a really good way around that. As long as I can punish Okidogi and specifically Okidogi and Torkoal, I think I'm fine. But we'll have to just kind of make it work. I think I can get some good position into the Torkoal, though, especially because their terrain, while they do have some prevalence with terrain, I think it's muscleable. They're going to lead off with Bundle and Exeggutor. This is fine, actually. This is very okay. I can proceed to go for a Fake Out into the Iron Bundle, because even if they burn a Terra on Bundle, it's really not a good Terra Pokemon against my team. So I'm kind of okay with that. I would rather just let my speed go to the end of the turn. Because that way then I don't need to risk Wigglytuff taking any unnecessary damage. So we're going to go for Trick Room here. And I'm going to go for a Fake Out here. Right into the Iron Bundle. Actually, I'm going to go for it into the Exeggutor. If I lose my Smeargle due to, like, Fake Out from, I don't know, Icy Wind from Bundle and it just gets swapped out, I'm kind of okay with that. I would be more greatly concerned with something like Hypnosis from Exeggutor stopping my Trick Room from going up. So I'm actually just going to go for Fake Out into that. It's definitely a Harvest set. I doubt that it's anything else, because otherwise Exeggutor is really bad in this format. I guess maybe it's like Chlorophyll with Bundle speed control, but even still that feels really bad. They're going to swap, and that's perfectly fine. And they're going to proceed to go into Indeed here. Then I guess my Fake Out doesn't really matter. Bundle's still going to get some decent damage off either way, but like frankly, this really doesn't impact my game plan, because Smeargle will always get phased out, and I get a really free turn on the following turn with my Wyrdeer. So I'm kind of okay with this. We're going to get Freeze Dried. That's perfectly fine. This Smeargle still does survive, so I can keep it up for later on. And honestly, the Psychic Terrain really doesn't harm me in any notable way. So we're going to Moody, and we're going to swap ourselves out immediately into my Wigglytuff. As Wigglytuff with the Choice Specs will be able to get some serious damage off of my opponent. Now, I do need to be a little bit careful. Let me really quickly double check the speed stats on this. So this is 63. versus 65, perfect. So Wigglytuff will be able to activate the competitive boost before it gets up any damage. And that is very noteworthy, actually. My opponent should get kind of screwed by this, actually, because I can skill swap the Intimidate right onto the Arm Bundle. And then I can just go for Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam here, which has no really harmful defensive benefits for us. It actually makes us better matched up into Okidogi, technically, because it can't Drain Punch, which is noteworthy. We're still weak to Poison Type either way. But the biggest benefit there is the fact that if Okidogi really is their fourth, it can't reliably recover against us without getting any sort of resisted hit, which is important there because I could skill swap and, well, actually, so I'm skill swapping Intimidate away, which is still decent. It doesn't really matter for us, frankly, but the bigger benefit there is the fact that we can make sure that it has to go for the damaging move into this Wigglytuff if it wants to punish, and I can get off a really strong Gleam, which is neutral into that, especially with the +2 and the choice specs. So that will really quickly punish my opponent. So Intimidate is going to proc our competitive here. We're going to get nice +2 boost, and we're playing the team as intended at this point. My opponent doesn't really have a great way around this because it's just so high damage. Follow Me was a wasted turn, and Bundle should just completely drop to this, which is huge. Yeah, DD literally lives on like 1 HP, and I cannot believe that is not a Focus Sash set if it took it that well. No, I guess it wasn't Focus Sash, so it just took it that well. This is still fine, actually. My opponent's going to proceed to go into their Torkoal, which is going to damage us pretty well. I don't have the best way around this. I think I just have to switch out Wigglytuff and then bring in the Smeargle and go for Wide Guard, which is kind of whatever. I'll go for Hypnosis into Torkoal just in case. And then I am going to swap here into my own Torkoal. Actually, I could just, it's actually probably better to just let this go down, because despite the fact that Wigglytuff is a pretty funny win con, having my own Torkoal with Wide Guard Smeargle actually will probably be a better means of beating my opponent, because I can actually just punish them pretty conveniently with Wide Guard spam, and then just go for Torkoal endgame, and I think it'll be safer. No reason to really try and unnecessarily switch around my opponent. I think it'll just lead to me getting pressured by Torkoal more. And I think that overall, yeah, the Torkoal will just kill my Pokemon. That's something that's unavoidable. So we're going to, oh shit, okay, so Wyrdeer takes that. Wyrdeer took that like really fucking well. I'm shocked at how well it took it. Like Torkoal is a decent offensive Pokemon. And if I put this to sleep, that's even better for me, because I can actually just go right to my own Torkoal and just go for an Eruption immediately without any punish. So if this Hypnosis lands, I kind of clicked it as a Hail Mary. Oh my god, it lands. Okay, so yeah, we just kind of cook. I can really just cook now because I just go for Eruption. My opponent has no counterplay to that. Meanwhile, when my Wyrdeer eventually dies, I can just really quickly cook my opponent. So let's see. So we have Wyrdeer and Torkoal on the field now. I can just go for a Psychic into the Torkoal spot, and I can go for an Eruption. I can kill the Indeedee pretty quickly before Torkoal wakes up. I'll punish their Torkoal because no matter what, the Torkoal is going to be asleep this turn. At best, it gets speed timing, I guess, which if it does, good play by my opponent, I guess. Good play they can't really control, but it's still a good play nonetheless. Executor cannot tear around my Torkoal either, so they're going to use Follow Me, and that's perfect. Indeedee will guarantee drop to my Torkoal. So literally, again, unless first turn Wake Up, which it does not look like will happen, at least not in time to take the Eruption. And their Eruption will now be significantly weakened because of this, so they can never keep up with me damage-wise. Their Torkoal will stay asleep, perfect, so my Psychic Terrain Boosted Psychic will probably take out the Torkoal at this range. I cannot imagine this will do less than half. Wyrdeer has some decent offenses, actually, and yeah, that just kills. So the combination of Wyrdeer and Torkoal should pick off my opponent. So I do think that giving up the Wigglytuff sweep, as funny as it would have been, I think it was the smarter choice, because now I still have the backline with Smeargle, which can get up some decent pressure with things like Wide Guard. It's not going to be able to go for Spore, which I'm kind of okay with. But Wide Guard is still decent in case they have Expanding Force in that Executor, as well as the fact that I can just kind of wall out my opponent if need be with Follow Me if they're going to go for single target moves, and just keep going for Torkoal hits until I win. So I'm kind of fine either way. Like my opponent can't really do much to stop me, thankfully, and they kind of just have to sit. Trick Room will be up, which is great because that's advantageous for my Torkoal. I think I have it for 2 more turns, which means that they don't have a great line into me anyway. No, 1 more turn to Trick Room. That's still fine. Honestly, that is still very fine. Just to be safe, I'm going to go for Hypnosis here. And I'm going to go for an Eruption here. And then I'll go for Protect plus Trick Room if need be. They're going to cancel. Okay, sweet. So we've now had 2 canceled battles. Solid, very good win yet again. This team is really dirty. I think this is one of those things where like the gimmick is so funny. And a lot of people, especially since this is our first video actually of the format, well, of the ladder season, I should say. Because of that, this is a really quick team to farm people who have not played the team. So while I will admit that this is definitely a little bit advantageous because we're not in Master Ball yet, the team does still kind of do the same thing in Master Ball. I've noticed this is a very effective strategy, and again, I've seen a lot of other people cover it, so I know it's not just the fact that we are on the low ladder, but it just happens to be what we're starting with for our first video back. We are going to get one more team going though, one more battle going though before we end off the video, so I'll see you guys in that final match. Alright, for our final game of the day, we're taking on what looks to be like a tail room team. Probably some sort of rain element there, especially with the Comfey, Archaludon, Torn sort of core, with their Shifu as well. So it's definitely just like a balanced rain sort of tail room core. It feels like a lot of elements, obviously, but just that's what we're fighting. They're probably going to lead off with, if I had to guess, I feel like that they're going to lead off with Trick Room and try and match me, which is kind of fine. They might also just let me get up Trick Room, to be honest. I'm trying to think of my line. I think I just go with Smeargle Wyrdeer, because even if her Shifu does lead, I can kind of just follow me into that and just still punish that way. And I think I just go with the same four. They don't really have viable priority to me. They do have, so to be fair, they do have some priority, but I feel like just trying to gain control of the weather matchup is decent here. Torkoal is also probably one of my better ways to break Archaludon. While I could go with Walking Wake, it's a nice middle ground there. I think that ultimately just having the Trick Room advantage will be useful. It's also decent into Rillaboom, even if it's just to go for like single target flamethrowers and just whatever the like I want to go for. I think I can definitely get some mileage out of the Wyrdeer plus Wigglytuff combination. And I think I can seriously make it work. I feel very confident in my matchup to where I'm not concerned with what my opponent might do to me. I think that Tauntaun would be the scariest partner. It does look like they let off with Tornadus. I know these have been typically ditching Taunt because of the fact that Frigg is such a good Trick Room setter. So maybe I'll get lucky, but we'll kind of just have to see. If they do lead off with Taunt Torn, it's a little scarier, but it's still manageable for sure. We are going to go for Trick Room immediately, just try and proc it, and I'm going to go for Follow Me here. This should draw in your Shifu's attacks. It will kill us, but that's kind of the point of this, is just to get Smeargle out of here. So once Trick Room is up, we have a very safe Wigglytuff. And that should still be very fine. We're gonna go for Follow Me here. Oh right, that'll also draw in Taunt. I forgot that we're +2 with this, so this will draw in Taunt. They're just gonna go for Bleak Wind anyway, which is perfect. Bleak Wind cannot kill Smeargle, and the Urshifu has to get drawn in here, which is amazing. So, oh, they speed drop. Shit. Oh, that's really bad. That is so bad. Oh no. Fuck. Okay. I don't know how that interaction actually goes. I'm gonna be honest. Either way, I have to bring in Torkoal. I absolutely have to bring in Torkoal, because it will weaken Urshifu enough, so if it doesn't get drawn in, I can still take the hit with Wyrdeer. And if it does get drawn in, Torkoal will probably go down. No, it probably won't go down, to be honest. And Flamethrower is still a decent option. I can Psychic plus Eruption. That'll probably still do decent, at least to kill Urshifu even if it's Sash, which is good. And I can bring in Wigglytuff to endgame, which is not bad. Actually, I might just go for Flamethrower plus Psychic. I think it's a better route here. So we'll do that. We'll do that for sure. Actually, no, I'm going to go for Flamethrower plus, Heat Wave. Sorry, Eruption plus Psychic, just to kill the Urshifu. I think killing the Urshifu is a little bit more valuable here. I know that Torn will definitely survive. They're going to go for Rain Dance anyway. I'm kind of okay with that, because really my goal here is just to break Focus Sash. So that's okay. Eruption will do no damage, but the goal is just to bring in the Wigglytuff. So I'm kind of okay with this. Psychic will go off. And can that kill? Oh fuck, that doesn't kill. They're gonna start their tricks. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. That really does not matter. They're probably, I feel like they're probably just like a bulky Scarf for Shifu then, which is whatever. I can still make this work in my favor. This is still actually very winnable. I'm gonna go into Wigglytuff here, and Wigglytuff can get off some serious damage. I'll go for the swap onto the Urshifu, just because that's probably still very fine. Yeah. Their backline should still be very weak to Dazzling Gleam, so I'm going to go for the Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam. That helps with just generally getting off more damage against them, which I feel like is the least, like, controversial take to have, just going for the offensive Terra. But, like, it's really powerful against their team. They don't have great counterplay. Also, I just realized that never mind, the hat's straight on. For some reason, it looked like it was tilted immediately. Still fine either way. We're going to get the skill swap off because they're Scarf for Shifu. That is very Scarf for Shifu, because otherwise they would have went for the Elastic Aqua Jet and Trick Room. Or Dissect. Either way, they would not have made that play. So I'm very okay with this. Intimidate will proc. Wigglytuff is going to get a solid +2 here, and it's going to become a pretty decent offensive monster at this point. The Specs Wigglytuff will just kind of claim kills. If they didn't bring Rillaboom, we actually, I think, just kind of win off of this, which is huge. They certainly probably have Farig. Well, no, they probably don't have Farig in the back with this sort of archetype. They probably brought Rillaboom Archaludon, or maybe Comfey Archaludon. Either way, it's very manageable, actually. So I could definitely take that. It'll be very difficult for my opponent to come back from this, and I can kind of just click Specs +2 Dazzling Gleam. They brought Archaludon. That's huge. What's the other Pokemon? The other Pokemon is Farig. Okay, honestly, that's very good for us. I can make that work. Just to be safe, so we have Unseen Fist on my thing. They probably don't have Protect going up. I'm actually going to Skill Swap away Stamina just to get rid of that, so that way then my Smeargle won't punish us by going for Fake Out into that. Actually, what I'll do instead, I'm actually going to Skill Swap away Armor Tail because that allows us to Fake Out entirely, which is huge. So we're going to go for that, and I'm going to go for the Specs Dazzling Gleam. This should allow us a Fake Out turn, which might actually come into play for Fake Outing the Archaludon later on. So I'll take that. Giving this thing Unseen Fist, frankly, will not really matter. I don't have Protect that's viable on any of my Pokemon. I guess the biggest thing would be like Wide Guard, which is kind of whatever, and I think it could just kill us anyway. I feel confident, plus you Terrify Choice Specs, killing. Perfect. That's Fake Out Rage right there. Oh, it's Sturdy. Okay, Sturdy Archaludon's kind of crazy, but I fuck with it. Either way, Farig dropped. Farig dropped very quickly. Archaludon will claim like 1 kill, and it's probably gonna be into Wigglytuff. Good trade. I can kill with Fake Out Smeargle, and that is a very funny way to end the video, so I will more than take that. Yeah, this is actually a hysterical way to end the video, because I'm gonna kill with Fake Out Smeargle. Who the fuck thought that would be how this video ends? Getting the kill with Fake Out fucking Smeargle, because they dropped my speed. It's the only reason this is even possible, by the way, is because they dropped my speed. Otherwise, this would just be a Torkoal win. We'll go for Skill Swap on our own Smeargle, just because I think Tracing Moody, in worst case, if Fake Out doesn't kill, is really funny. Battle was canceled. Perfect. We actually went 3 for 3 on Battle Cancel this video. It's so funny. This team is pretty fun. If you want to try it yourselves, obviously, paste as well as the link to the Creators Run Code will be in the description below in case you want to try it yourselves. It should be a lot of fun for anyone who is looking forward to it. If you enjoyed and you want to see more content like this, of course, like and subscribe for more, and consider becoming a channel member. I have a bunch of content on bulk recording for the next 2 days, starting today, obviously. So daily content will be coming back, but also member videos will get pulled soon. Our current channel members are Zeke, Mia, Rouse Sakura, Obo, Endless Gadgets, and Incog M. Thank you so much for your support on the channel. I really appreciate it. And with that said, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video, where we're going to be using a nice Gallied Iron Moth team. Until then, peace out, guys.